So many health experts and almost all kids would like to say, I think all of us can all attest that sleep is one of the most important things in our lives. Obviously, you spend 8 hours a day sleeping. I can see Armand's already here going to sleep,
Yeah.
but you know, it's important for rest, relaxation, and obviously for your body to repair itself. So if you guys want to start talking about sleep, be my guest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you said 8 hours a day, and I mean, I wish. I know all of us here, as well as a lot of other people in our situations, in high school, very busy. 8 hours a day is sometimes, a luxury that we can't afford, just in terms of all the stuff we're doing. And I know going to senior year, college apps, school getting even harder, all this kind of stuff. It'll be hard to maintain that 8 hours a day, that golden number. And I think
No,
that's
yeah,
what
for sure.
we all strive for that. But there's been times in high school I've had four tests the next day. I've been studying until 2 in the morning. It doesn't happen that often, but it happens. And I've
Yeah,
gotten 4 hours
I
of sleep
mean,
that day.
I'm just curious, Harv, would you say like average you generally like on a school night you spend sleeping?
You know, I wish I could tell you that. I sleep different. Like there's been times I sleep at 10, times I've slept at like 9, but a lot of times I'll sleep at like 12 and 2, right? So I mean, I
Hmm.
would say on average about 6 hours to 7 hours.
Yeah, for me, I'd average 6 or 7. What about you, Armand?
Yeah. I average 6 to 7, but today I had three tests in school today, and last night I was up like till 3 studying. So
Hmm.
right now it's 9:27 right now, and I'm hitting the hay by 10:30, and I'm gonna be
Yeah.
sleeping. And yeah, so tonight I'll get a good night's sleep. Maybe I'll even have a couple of dreams. I'm hoping for a couple of dreams, but usually around 6 to 7 on like a test day, like a big test, 4 or 5.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, we got it.
I have a question
So,
for both of you. What's the
yeah, what's
least
up?
amount of sleep you've ever gotten in high school?
No
All
sleep.
nighter.
All night,
Except for an all-nighter. How about that?
like 30
Well,
minutes.
at that point, it doesn't make a difference,
That
right?
is that is true. That is
Like,
true.
uh, anything below 2 hours, all nighter, anyways. Like, there's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
like,
It's basically the
it's
same.
just an all nighter.
At a certain,
Your body never turns off. Just has a
at a
little
certain
bit of
point,
rest.
at a
Yeah.
certain point, there's no point even sleeping. Like it will be like 5 a.m. and I'll be finally done. And I'm like, is there even any point sleeping?
Yeah,
Mm.
but sometimes there's
I'm
that
just
like
curious. What is the dumbest reason that you guys have pulled an all nighter for?
I mean, it's just procrastination now. Like, I've never pulled an all-nighter because of, one stupid assignment or something. Whenever I pull an all-nighter, which is very rare, I only happened a few times.
No, I'm saying like not necessarily for school. Have you ever pulled an all nighter for something that's not
Oh,
school
you really
related?
want to know? So I was doing an economics program earlier this summer. We did it at Yale, and we basically decided that on the last day, we're gonna pull an all-nighter for no reason. So we pulled an all-nighter.
I mean, I've just pulled an all-nighter just because I was just watching Netflix, talking to my friends. And like it was summer, so maybe
Mhm.
up to like 2, 3 a.m. So
What
2,
about you,
3
Niddle?
was enough.
Yeah, for me, yeah, yeah. So it was a funny story because I pulled an all nighter the night before I was about to take a flight to go on vacation, and so I basically watched the entirety. I think it was like season 1 of Gossip Girl up until halfway through season 2. Yeah, it's very embarrassing to tell, but
Oh,
it was
not
a very
embarrassing
good
at
show.
all.
At the time I was very engrossed with the show, and so yeah, that's the I think actually the only time I pulled an all nighter was to watch Gossip Girl.
But do you guys think, like, in the context of school, maybe because I'm assuming most of us wake up at around 6 to 6:30, sometime around then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do you guys think like once you get to like 2 or 3 o'clock, is it worth studying those extra couple
Oh
hours
no,
when
no,
you
not at
don't have
all.
that brain capacity anymore, or is it worth
I
getting that sleep and recharging?
right. I personally believe that if you studying past 12 o'clock, you're just doing more harm than good.
Past 12, really?
Yes, because in my opinion, like so, it always obviously it depends on per person, right? Like when you
Hmm.
get home from school, if you have extracurricular activities that day, when do you get home,
Hmm.
right? Like do you have sports, stuff like that, right? But generally for me, like right, let's say hypothetically, I'm doing something, let's say outside of school, I get home, let's say everything's all done, 7 o'clock, right? Dinner, everything's finished, all that stuff. If you can spend 4 or 5 hours genuinely focused, genuinely studying up until 12 o'clock, and then get a good night's rest, it's exponentially more worth than studying for let's say like 7 hours and going up to 1 and 2 in the morning, where you start confusing some stuff, and then you end up going to bed
I
after.
agree with that, but the problem is, I mean, and I've done this myself a lot of times. And I know a lot of people, especially our age, do this procrastination, right? You get on the phone, you get on TikTok, you get on Instagram,
Right, but procrastination
hours are gone.
functions. Yeah, right. But you function procrastination as you're setting your deadline differently. You're like people who procrastinate for, let's say, studying for tests. You're setting your deadline in your head mentally that your test is tomorrow, right? Like you're studying for the test that is
Mhm.
tomorrow. You're gonna study so that you can do all the tests that's tomorrow. My mindset, or at least the way I like to treat things as, is like I'm studying. I'm studying hard stop at 12 o'clock, no matter what it is. I have to learn all the information, even if I procrastinate up until 10 o'clock. I have to learn all the information because 12 o'clock there's no more, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
So
Oh,
if I want to get the same amount of success as, let's say, a student that studies 7 hours, study like X amount of information, right? If I can take that amount of information and study it in a condensed amount of time, let's say procrastinating wise, but I set my deadline as instead of 7 a.m. tomorrow morning is when the test like starts, right? The test starts for me in my head at 12 o'clock at night.
Interesting. And I found myself, anecdotally just so I fall asleep very easily. So there's been times I've been, studying at late at night and I just fall asleep randomly. And I found even those times when I might not know all the content and I have a first period test the next morning, even when I don't know all the content and I fall asleep, that sleep is very beneficial and it actually helps me in a way that I can't really explain, kind of be able to learn the content better the next morning, even if it's just, 10 minutes of quick studying.
What
so
about you, Armand? I know you have some interesting study habits with all the time you spend at Bellworks.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I just honestly, I'm a big procrastinator to be honest. I just like I don't know if I study late at night and I do get distracted and all of that. But I'm interested by your technique and I want to try it going forward with the school year. So far I have pulled some pretty late nights and I don't want to do that anymore. So what are the mental benefits from getting that extra hours of sleep?
I mean, honestly, more so than like actually physical benefits, it's a more of a psychological, psyching yourself up. Because every time I step into a classroom to take a test, I know, okay, I did all I can. I studied from this time to this time. I got a good night of sleep. I'm set for this test in comparison to other students who, like, let's say you do take those 3 extra hours to study to like 3 in the morning. You're studying, you're studying, you're studying because you have that sense of uncertainty that you're not gonna you don't have enough knowledge of the good grasp of that content, right? Whereas for me, hard stop 12 o'clock, whatever happens is done. Whatever grasp I have, that is the grasp I'm going to have to go into this test. So I'm confident that whatever I did grasp from, let's say, 10 to 12 is going to be directly translatable to the test and will help me succeed. So I go into the test with a lot more confidence than a lot of my fellow peers, and I believe that that is what helps me, succeed a lot. Like, it just helps me succeed in general. But I think in terms of more physical stuff, you just feel so much better. Like you just wake up and you just feel refreshed. You ever have those days where you just like go to sleep and you just wake up and it's like you just easily get out of bed? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah, what I found something very funny. That happens when you're like above 7 hours, you feel refreshed, had a good night's sleep.
yeah,
It
yeah,
also happens when you're below like 3 hours, because at that point your body hasn't shut down yet.
yeah,
It just hasn't
exactly.
shut down. So like I'm able to wake up to my alarm very easily because I'm not even in the state of being asleep yet.
no, but
Yeah.
sometimes like 8 hours of sleep and I'll still be like, oh, I need to sleep more.
It
But
depends on the day. I'm just talking like on average though.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, completely agree.
Something else that I found recently, especially in the summer, is like I'll go to Bellworks or I'll go to the Bellworks is, by the way, for those of you that don't know, like this complex that has a lot of stores, restaurants, places to sit, do work, stuff
It's
like that.
mainly a study space for us
Yeah.
kids.
But yeah, it's a pretty big area. It's a place we go to do work. But yeah, I'll either go to Bellworks or go to the library, and I'll basically go there. I'll drive there, I don't know, maybe 3 o'clock, right? I'll go there, I'll sit down and I say, I'm not exiting this place no matter what. Maybe I'll get a drink or whatever, like get a cookie, get some water, but I'm not leaving Bellworks until I finish this essay, and this assignment, right? So by having these extremely concrete goals, I'm able to set these proper benchmarks for myself. And that eventually translates into getting more sleep because I'm able to not procrastinate as much. However, that is very hard to do, when you're studying abstractly for just a test.
No, I think that's very true. I think goal setting is the best way to deal
Yeah.
with procrastination because, like I said, right, the difference between you procrastinating up until 3 in the morning and me procrastinating until 12 at night is the fact that I set my goal that I'm going to grasp this content by 12 o'clock versus you, I'm going to grasp this content before I enter the test.
So
It's
I
just
have a
changing
question
the
for you, just real
parameters
quick.
of the goal. Yep, go ahead.
So let's say, something's gone awry, whatever. You're whatever, extracurricular until 8 o'clock. You ate, you have to come back, shower. Dad needed help with something. You
Right, right.
procrastinated. You're on TikTok for an hour.
Yep.
It's
I'm at 12
11:30
o'clock.
now. It's
11:30.
11. It's 11:30 now. You maybe know one lesson out of the 20 required lessons for the test. What do? You sleep at 12.
It's at 12.
Insane. So, but I guess by having that mandatory deadline, your brain is naturally forced to think that there's nothing after that.
Also, I guess something unique that I do while I sleep is that I try and dream of things that
You
will
try to
help me.
dream.
No, genuinely. Like, have you ever heard of lucid dreaming?
Yeah, I've never thought that's really
So
possible.
it's difficult, but there are times where I've successfully done it, times I've unsuccessfully done it. I'm trying to I like just right now with college apps and that kind of stuff. It's just it's a very stressful time. So I haven't really been doing it as much. But when I'm gonna start I'm gonna figure out once all this whole hectic drama is over. I'm gonna start figuring out like a good concrete way for myself to like get it going. Because what I used to do, right, is when I would go to sleep thinking about what I would have to know for the test like on like the next day. So let's say like I have like a biology test, right? I would think about what we learned in class and that stuff, right? And then I'd just envision myself in the class like sitting and relearning the
Interesting.
lessons, right? And so over time, like over like the course of the night. Like obviously I can't tell because I'm asleep, but you start to just see yourself learning the lesson in class, and I can remember, like for example, like Dr. Jensen or Miss Engstrom's like voice and what they said. So that and I can just keep hearing that voice when I go and I like, take a test or something. Like it's very I guess it's
Yeah.
very more natural for me, I guess, to just be able to like grasp that kind of like what someone
So
says once or twice.
Armand, do
But
you have any methods
everyone's
that you
different.
kind of use?
I'm just starstruck at this lucid
So
dreaming.
unique, right? I mean, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
No,
I
I
gotta give it a try. I mean, studying in your sleep,
it's
wow.
hard, man. It's hard. It's not necessarily like I used to tell. That's what actually like freshman or sophomore year I used to do a lot. Like Jack, I think Jack Conti. I'm
Hmm.
sure like or he actually asked me. He's like, dude, you didn't study for this test. How come you did so well? And I was like, oh, I studied while I was asleep, and he thought I was joking. And no, I was being completely serious.
That's
Like
crazy.
I'll try it out.
Sounds like the kind of thing you have
it
to
sounds
develop
really
over.
gimmicky,
You have to
but it's
develop
like
over
yeah,
time until you can
yeah,
kind of get that
yeah.
down to a science in a
But
way.
I totally agree, right? Your memory in your subconscious is still there. It's not like
So much better. You're
your
actually
notes, you might not remember them consciously, but subconsciously there's a photographic memory of
oh
every
no,
single one of your
100%,
notes.
hundred
Yeah.
percent.
And when you're dreaming,
Like
if you could tap into that, you could literally just read what you have
oh
in
no,
context.
that's what I used to do. Like I think for the BTLS final, in our sophomore year, I went
Mhm.
to sleep and I just thought of the study guide that we made. And I just kept thinking of the study guide and just watched the study guide, just read everything on the study guide. And I ended up getting 100 on the final. So,
Interesting.
results are results. It works. It
It's
works
funny
for me.
talking to everybody because a lot of people get different grades. Some people get better grades, some people get worse grades. A lot of people get similar grades, right? But just
Mhm.
hearing how everyone has like you have this lucid dreaming thing. Maybe one other person has that. Maybe no one else has that. I just find it unique how everyone's so different at trying to arrive to the same result.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
well,
think it's cool.
you guys heard it here first. Lucid dreaming is the new age of studying. And
Yeah,
you know,
Hey, not everyone can
maximize
do it,
sleep,
Armand. Not everyone can do it.
maximize sleep, maximize
Maximize
mental
sleep
health,
but seriously though,
maximize.
maximizing sleep is like
is
I mean
key. It's key
what's
to
it?
everything.
Lower stress levels, increases
Mhm.
like, your body's ability to repair itself, just leaves you feeling better. I mean, it's amazing.
I think at least for me, the way that I began lucid dreaming is I just held it as like an extension of my thoughts. Like you ever just like sit and just think
Yeah.
Yeah.
about like
Those are
about
fun
like
times,
certain
man. Just like 10 minutes just with your thoughts. Yeah.
yeah, like you're in the shower, like the water is like pouring on you, and you're just thinking about like something that you have to do or something that you have to write and things like that. Right? You just think and all your best ideas come from like the most random sources. So it's like honestly for me, I think that if I just slept instead of studying, I'd do a lot better on a lot of the tests. Because
Well,
Interesting.
not just from the lucid dreaming, just from like the cortisol reset, just the stress relief from
you're
just
doing both.
going to
You're
bed.
doing both. Yeah. Sleeping and
I,
studying at the same time.
yeah, but you don't like the issue with the lucid dreaming is that if you like when you do sleep, right, your brain is still active. So you might feel like a little bit off the next day, but it's not necessarily a bad thing.
You know, Niddle, it's funny that you talk about this whole like methods of hard stop at 12. Because I'm not going to name drop here, right? But you might know who I'm referring to in our grade that he
Oh, he pulls
wouldn't
all
be
nighters every
surprised
single
if
day casually.
once out of every 8 or 9 days he pulled an all nighter for a test, right? Even if that
You
test,
mean every week? Every week, at
I
least one or
think
two.
I think
We
I
initials
all
said
know, Armand.
in,
You also know.
yeah.
initials NC.
NC. Oh, I thought we were talking about JH.
Yeah. I had JH.
Oh, JH as well, but
No,
NC
JH is cereal. Oh no, NC is cereal, but also
NC is a
JH
lot,
is
yeah.
cereal.
Because NC
JH is cereal, bro. They're
JH
all
is a
cereal.
problem. It's like he's
no,
addicted
but
to
JH is
football.
slightly different, right? JH will take a little nap from 1 to 3, maybe a little another nap from like 4 to 5, right?
No,
NC will just go through the night and
his
take a
sleep
half-hour
schedule
break.
before a test is actually terrible.
He'll come home from school 3 to 8
Sleep till like 8 p.m. and then study from then till 6. Like it's the
Yeah, I'll
weirdest thing
throw him
I've ever
talking point.
seen.
It's so weird, but I mean, if it works for him, it works.
It
I just don't
works.
know about the
Clearly
sustainability
works
of
for
it.
him. I mean,
I mean, good for him, right? Might as
yeah,
well.
I mean, everyone tweets their own, right?
To each their
Yeah.
own.
Yeah.
Just shows everyone's so different. There's
Yeah.
different things with the same result.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something about the lucid dreaming. That was kind of like an off-putting thing. It's kind of sad. It's hard to do because you have to be able to formulate exactly what you want to think of, like, and what you want to draw to your subconscious while you're asleep.
Mm.
And so you never
I mean,
know, man.
it sounds like it takes practice, is what I'm hearing.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
I'm
does.
definitely gonna try it out. I need to try it out. I mean, this is like revolutionary for me. I mean, I could save hours.
I'm not sure it's that much of a silver bullet, though.
I don't think it's that much
Seems
of a
like more,
silver bullet.
use in conjunction with.
Yeah. It's definitely more used in conjunction because it's always a lot easier to tell rather than having to draw back on memories that you probably had like the past week or 2 weeks. It's so much easier, right? I read the material once. That's actually something I used to tell you all the time, right? Or if like I always just read if I can read the material once, I'm
Mhm.
basically set. Because
But
once
I
I read
think
it
that's
once,
just
I
you.
remember it.
I know for myself that's not how it works, right?
Right, no, but like I'm saying like in tandem with the lucid dreaming, like if I read it once, like let's say like 30 minutes before I go to bed, I read this page, I read like the note sheet,
Mm.
right? I can keep seeing that note sheet because it's very fresh in my memory. I just keep cycling that note sheet.
Well, I'm glad for you, man. I don't think I can do that.
Okay.
Hey, man, to each their
No,
own, like Harmon said. To each their own.
you have good enough. You have good enough strategies, man.
Yeah, I mean,
You
I'm just
just put
trying
in
to
the work, right? I just
trying to
cheat
put in
my
the
way
work.
through it by sleeping.
Hey, man, it's not cheating if it works.
It's not cheating if it works. Amen to that.
In this context. Don't sue
Yeah,
me.
yeah, of course. We do not condone
We do
cheating
not
on any
condone any
exams,
kind of
any
academic
of
integrity
that.
violations at all.
No
Yeah,
relationship cheating
please,
either.
no.
None of that
High
stuff.
school, college, none of that stuff. Just
None of that stuff.
have integrity, study, use your own methods, and do well, but of your own volition. Never cheat.
All right. I think that's a good stopping point. What do you guys think?
I agree. That was a pretty fun
Yeah.
conversation.
It was
I
a
mean,
fun
that was a good
conversation.
conversation, but
Yeah.
I'm tired.
So I just like, I just like to say thank you guys, all our viewers, all our listeners, and keep calm and lucid dream. Peace out.